So this week's Parsha, Beshalach, is we're actually exiting. We're the Jewish people are leaving Mitzrayim. They're leaving Egypt. We have the story of the splitting of the sea, and obviously we had the many miracles of the 10 plagues, and then following that, the splitting of the sea. They come out the other side. Well, actually, the truth is, even the splitting of the sea, they did not cross the sea. They actually came. It was sort of a semicircle. They came back on the same side of the sea that they came in, just to further down. And then they are heading out, and they run into their first little troubles where there's a water issue, and then they have the food they brought from Mitzrayim is running out, and they're hungry, and Hashem says he's going to send them the manna. The manna, right? We are familiar with the idea of the manna. The manna is food from heaven. We have the expression manna from heaven, and the man comes down, and they're given certain rules about how they're going to do it. And they were going to, every morning, a new fresh set of the man would come down, and the people would go out and gather it. And no matter how much they gathered, they would always end up with the same amount. Whatever it was an omer's worth, and it was also based on how many people there were. Each one got enough for each person that they were supposed to have. And that was it. And it didn't make a difference if you spent 3 hours picking it all into what you thought was your big basket, or you spent 2 minutes picking it, throwing it in, and that was it. Whatever you did, you ended up with exactly what you needed. And that's how the man worked. There were a few rules to the man. You were not allowed to leave it over. If you did leave it over, it would spoil. And on Shabbos, we know on Friday, we got a double portion. There was whatever you gathered was double what you normally had. And the Shabbos, there was no man that came down, right? And we're maybe familiar that the chalos, we have 2 chalos. It's a reminder of the man. That was a double portion for Shabbos. We cover it just like the man was covered. We have a plate or a challah board underneath, which is the undercovering that was there for the man. It's very symbolic of the miracle of the man that took place in the desert. And the idea, there are certain lessons that we can learn from the way that Hashem provided the man for the people. And Rabbi Shalom Rosner quotes Rabbi Shlomo Zevin, who outlines 3 different lessons that we can learn. And these are lessons that Hashem wanted for us to learn from the man. It says lesson number 1 is the concept of equality, that everybody got what they deserved. Now, equality, by the way, does not mean that we are the same. Equality means that we each get what we need. And whatever you have what you need, and I have what I need. And that's what happened, right? Nobody got more than they needed, and nobody got less. As I mentioned, it made no difference how much time you spent. That's what it is. And this message is for us to understand that we get whatever we need. Hashem provides the man itself was also a lesson in faith, right? Because when you went to sleep at night, your cupboard was bare. You finished all the man. There was nothing left. And you were having faith that tomorrow morning when you woke up, there was going to be a fresh downfall of man that you were going to go out and collect. And we really are doing the same thing. And with our living, really, that's what we should be doing, is that what Hashem is going to provide. And it makes no difference how much we're going to go out and gather. If we're going to say, oh, I'm going to work, 16 hours a day, or I'm going to take on some extra project for whatever reason, because I feel that if not, I'm not going to be able to make a living. Or I say, I need to keep my store open on Shabbos or work on Shabbos, because if not, I'm not going to make a living. That's a huge mistake. You're going to make a living if you do your basic job of whatever it is that you do, and you make your effort, what we call hishtadlut, that you make your effort that is required, which is a basic effort. At the end of the day, Hashem will provide whatever it is you're supposed to get. And the truth is, we talk about this all the time around Rosh Hashanah time, right? That it's set for what you're supposed to get on Rosh Hashanah. And if you think you're going to go and earn another extra amount of money this way, something else will happen that's going to cost you an expense that you weren't expecting. And in the end, you'll end up with the same amount of money. So that's number 1, is the lesson in faith in terms of Hashem is going to provide for you what you are supposed to get and what you need. And more effort, less effort isn't going to make the difference. Do your basic requirement of what you should be doing as a basic responsibility, and Hashem will provide the rest. Number two, the concept, let's call it purity, but the man was a miraculous food. It was spiritual food. The Kli Yakar talks about that. It was a food that when whatever you ate stayed with you. There was no waste, right? We know when the person's body works, that it processes the food we eat and takes out whatever the nutrients. Maybe sometimes it also takes the fats and stuff, and that's how we gain weight. But also it throws away, it gets rid of things that are not important. So that's what the waste, right? And we excrete the waste from our bodies. The man had nothing in it that was extra. Everything was consumed 100% by the body. The people did not have to relieve themselves at all. It was perfect food. And that the message, says Reb Zevin, is that similarly, when we are doing our livelihood, because the manna represented the concept of sustenance, when whatever we are doing in order to get our livelihood has to be pure. It has to be that there's no trickery, there's no deceit, there's no stealing, and there's no doing anything that is against the Torah. We are doing it in a totally 100% pure manner, and that's how we should be going about our business, whether it be real business or just our job, right? And there are many examples we can give of people who try to cut corners, or even if not that, when you have a job and you're being paid to do something and you're spending your time doing something else, well, that's a good question. What's going on here? You're being paid to work, not to be on the phone and on Facebook and whatever during that time, and you're taking that from your employer. That's not pure, right? So whatever we're doing in our livelihood has to be done in a manner that is pure and proper. And number three is our attitude, and that is the man had another unique quality, and that was that it tasted however you wanted it to taste. There were a few exceptions, but generally, if you wanted to have steak that night, you just said, man, it's going to taste like steak, or man's going to taste whatever it is you wanted it to taste like. That's how it tasted. It was a miracle. And that also teaches us, again, that Hashem provides for us. Now, Hashem provides for us in many ways, right? Some of us have to work harder than others to get it, and sometimes we have things that don't work out so well, and we have, well, in all of our lives, we have ups, downs, and challenges, etc. And how we are going to be feeling about that is up to us, right? How we are going to deal with situations, but not just deal with it, but really feel. How we're going to feel is dependent upon our attitude. And if we are coming in with a positive attitude, then we are able to have challenging situations, but still feel that everything's fine, right? You have some people who, no matter what's going on in their lives, they're happy, and they're coming in with a very outward shining countenance. And there are other people, who I call maybe tzibissener, as we say, no matter what is going on, everything's bad, right? They could have all the money, they could have wonderful children, they could have all kinds of other great things, but for somehow or other, it's never good enough, and they're not happy, right? And that's our attitude. And the idea is that the man had that quality that it could be whatever we want. You have the choice to make of your situation whatever you want it to be. You want it to be good, it will be good. It doesn't mean that physically it might change, but emotionally it's going to change. And in terms of your attitude is going to make it different. And therefore, the idea of the manna from heaven should be how we view everything that we have. We need to make the best of whatever it is that Hashem is providing us with, and we go about our business in an honest and pure manner, and then we appreciate what we have, and in that way, everything that we have will feel like man to us. Have a great Shabbos.